In the vastness of the unfathomable universe, a vessel carried two life forms, beings beyond imagination, beyond time and space. We refer to them as the divine duo,
said the elder, his voice calm yet powerful. A group of children sat before him, listening intently, eyes wide with wonder.
The divine duo witnessed a formation of supernova after collapse of a dying star. Then, after millions of years, as debris from the explosion traversed the galaxy and entered a nearby solar system, it began to accumulate. Piece by piece, that ancient stardust merged with a young planetary system and formed a new world.
He pointed toward the sky.
A world with immense potential, at just the right distance from its star. Far enough to keep water from evaporating too quickly, yet close enough for warmth and life to take root. A perfect balance. The divine duo landed on this newborn planet in their vessel. They carried both organic matter and non-organic, yet self-conscious, matter, living technology. They left both as gifts for future generations. And then they departed, promising to return every 50,000 light years to observe what their creation had become.
The elder's gaze swept across the crowd.
If these calculations are to be correct, they return sometime next month.
This was the sacred prophecy of the Xia dynasty, a planetary civilization unified under a single emperor. Though divided into regions, all people answered to one central rule. In the last few hundred years, the Xia civilization had become a Type 2 civilization, mastering control over their entire solar system. They had constructed outposts on distant planets and moons, positioned as sentinels and research stations.
The entire civilization will be on its best behavior,
the elder continued, reminding that all elders are taking similar sessions across all outposts.
If you ever get the honor of standing before the divine duo, show gratitude, show humility.
He looked upon the children seated before him. These were no ordinary children, they were part of a planetary training program. Camps like this were established in every major city. Every elder, in every region, was preparing the next generation for the impending visit. The elder's name was Faris. He stood among not only the youngest cadets but also a group of future spacefarers, young men and women aged 15 to 25. He had once stood where they stood. Faris was born into a humble family in a quiet, remote sector of Xia. His parents taught him everything they could about the stars, the stories, the science. At 17, he became an apprentice to the elder of his region after demonstrating a remarkable ability to solve complex problems. His talents led him to join missions for Dyson Sphere maintenance, a dangerous but crucial responsibility for a civilization that relied on stellar engineering. On one such mission, Faris risked his life to stop a system-wide failure of the Dyson Sphere. He entered a collapsing conduit, stabilized it, and saved the solar grid from disaster. His act earned him immense respect, and at just 30 years old, he was appointed as an elder, a rare honor. Despite his high status, Faris remained humble and deeply connected to the people. His compassion, bravery, and wisdom helped unite communities and bring prosperity to the Western continent. But above all, he always described himself as one thing, a servant of the divine duo. A silver-badged cadet raised her hand hesitantly. Elder Faris, were you always like this? I mean, how did you become an elder? The group grew quiet. Even the younger children turned to listen. Faris smiled gently, eyes reflecting years of memory.
That's a story of its own,
he said, voice soft. He looked up at the darkened sky, once black, now deep blue from centuries of Dyson Sphere light distortions.
But if you have a moment, I'll tell you. I was born into a humble family in a forgotten corner of this world. While other children played, I watched the stars. The tales of the divine duo weren't just bedtime stories to me, they were invitations. I wanted to know who they were, why they came, and what they left behind. My curiosity led me to dismantle broken drones, repair old machines, and understand things no one else in my town cared about. I began assisting Lyra, one of the lead engineers of the Dyson Sphere, still just a boy, but hungry to learn. When our elder passed away, I was chosen to replace him. I was young, and many doubted me. But then the Dyson Sphere failed. One of its major segments began collapsing. If it fell, entire regions would have lost power. Chaos would have followed. I had no time. I entered the damaged corridor myself. I remember the heat, the sparks, the silence in my mind. I didn't think, I acted. I stabilized the system just in time. That day didn't make me a hero. It reminded me that leadership means service, not power. Since then, I've done what I can. I listen, I lead, I teach, and I remind everyone, including myself, that we are only stewards of a gift greater than us.
The cadet's expression shifted from curiosity to awe, then to quiet respect. Around her, others nodded. They saw in Faris not a distant leader, but someone who had once been just like them. The night sky above shimmered in a shade between black and deepest blue, a symbol of change, of time passing, of visitors returning. The divine duo would arrive soon, and the world would be ready.